going on, everybody? Shinobi here, and today I'm taking you inside the mind of movement in Fortnite Zero Build. So in this game, basically, I'm just going to be breaking down my movement in every single fight. I'm going to be playing actively live and explaining what I'm going to do before I do it. At least I'll do my best, and also what happened during the fight, what kind of movement I was using to ultimately take down my opponents or win the fight or exit the fight, etc. So I'll be giving all kinds of movement tips throughout this entire video that I think will really help you in Chapter 6, Season 3 of Fortnite Zero Build. So let's get right into it. First things first, we're going to go ahead and drop right on the yoink, because yoink and movement go together like bagels and cream cheese, you know what I'm saying? You buy one of these puppies and then you hit them with some movement. Right now I'm sprint sliding to conserve stamina. I don't want to use my shotgun ammo, so I was going to hit that guy with an AR since he wasn't looking at me. Back was to me, didn't have to do any kind of movement. So when people are not looking at you, when their back is to you, you do not need to do any sort of movement, nothing fancy. Just sit there and land your shots. Once they start looking at you, that's when you got to put on the moves, right? When you're in danger of being shot. Okay, so we got a guy on a right shoulder peek here. We're going to cut tight to this wall and then come around with a little swing out right there, a swing-a-doo, you know, one of the swing-a-doos, I might call it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So this guy was on a right shoulder peek right here. We need to get really close to this wall so that he can't get the angle unless he comes all the way out. Right? This guy was on the right shoulder peek, so I played really close to the wall, and then I swung wide to catch him as he was trying to get that right shoulder, right? So play the angles with your movement. When you got somebody on a right shoulder peek, you got to be very careful about how you push it to avoid taking damage, and try to be hard to hit. You can see I was kind of like zigzagging as I approached as well. All right, so now we're moving to the courtyard here. We have no movement. This is extremely dangerous. I just realized I have no utility either. I have no bubble shields, and I have no movement, so I'm playing tight to cover pieces here, and I'm keeping my stamina up. Notice the stamina here. I'm not burning all my stamina. This guy's in the this room right here, the training room. So he's gonna be on a right shoulder peek as well, right? So we gotta unroot him from this. Oh, he's actually hittable. Okay, we got 100 off on him. Now we slide over to the left, doing the same thing, avoiding that right shoulder peek and opening that angle up so we can actually hit him, right? So we're going to the left side to open the angle up. We do not want to push in here and try to fight like this, because he's going to get a really good shot on you, and you're not going to hit him for much, because if you try to shoot this angle right here, you're going to end up hitting the wall in most cases and not doing much damage to them. And we're going to go over here and try to find a sprite, get some dashes on us. So you notice that I'm just sprint sliding at all times. It's going to reduce the size of my hitbox, make me harder to hit, the elevation change, and I'm just saving stamina. So something you absolutely have to learn to put into your gameplay is just always be sprint sliding. We're going to go ahead and get some shockwaves from this guy. Actually, we're going to turn this in. These guys will always give you shockwaves. And dashes themselves are pretty much the best combat movement in the game. Now, when I say combat movement, there's kind of a couple of different categories of movement, I'd say, and some hybrids. There is combat movement and there's rotational movement. This is kind of combat movement, but it's more combat rotation. It's more like rotational movement than shockwaves. Base boost gloves are more combat, like you'll do it in combat really quick to gain some height. They're not really going to get you across the map very fast. Not really great for doing that sort of thing. They're more for like using really quickly in a fight to get a little bit of space, or, you know, that sort of thing. Something like the surf cube is a really good example of rotational movement. These dashes kind of rotational because you can do this where you're just landing into sprint slides like that, but it doesn't get you all that far. Like a surf cube is much better for that, or something else. Shockwaves are kind of rotational and kind of combat. That's where I say that's like that hybrid where you can use it in combat really well. That's why shockwaves are just like so good, because they're very versatile. You can use them for rotation to cover a lot of distance. Now the major downside is they run out. Now right here I'm doing little sprint jumps, landing into slides where I can, just like tiny little movements just to stay hard to hit. Notice that I'm reloading while jumping and sliding. This is why you gotta learn this. The sprint jumping, or this skating I call it, is incredibly useful. There we go, we got surf cube, there we go. So this is rotational movement. This cape is combat movement. So this is combat movement, rotational movement right here. Dashes are more like combat movement. right, so the surfboard can be used to get in on people. It's a little bit of a hybrid because it's kind of combat movement if you're going to enter a fight or exit a fight, but it's not great if you're in the heat of a fight and somebody's already looking at you. You don't really want to pull this thing out and start hovering away from someone. What you do want to do is break people's cameras like that with it. You go straight up, and camera breaks are one of the best ways you can use movement against your enemies to gain an advantage. It's the worst place somebody could be is right over your head, because you have to turn your camera around and then you have to track them down. So if you can get over your opponent's head, very dangerous spot to be, because they have a very hard time even finding you once you land, and it's just a whole thing. All right, so we're moving up on a medallion player here. Hopefully this will be a decent fight. He might just hit the rift. We'll see. Gonna be hard to use movement in here unless I bird in. So I'm gonna bird in, and then we're gonna land into a right shoulder peek. Okay, and this is a disappointing fight. And now we just stand our ground and hit our shots, because we know that we've done so much damage that all we have to do is focus on landing the shots at this point, and we're gonna win that fight easily. We're gonna go ahead and hit this rift, try to find some trouble. We hear shots going off. Let's hill. We're gonna go ahead and land into a slide right here with a bunny hop, and then jump on this guy and pull him away down the hill, and see how difficult that is to deal with. He's now in a different place. He wasn't expecting that, and we're moving quick, hard to track, makes your fights easy. So that's like kind of the dragon playstyle. If you've watched my 3 playstyles of Fortnite Zero Build, I'm doing somewhat of a dragon playstyle where I'm jumping on people's heads when they're not expecting it. That is an advantage that is not 50-50. A lot of people are like, oh, that's 50-50, but no. If you've got an advantage with movement, right, like this, where you can get behind somebody, it's not 50-50, because you can gain those, those early damage tags to gain a huge advantage in the fight, and then just make it, very easy for yourself. I've got so much movement right now that I can just chase this guy forever. He's definitely gonna die. Icon right here. Just gonna go to another car. We're gonna cut him off. Get into his car, and now he is dead. This should be it, because we should be able to blow him up with a single clip. A magazine, sorry. People do not like the word clip when it's a magazine. Alright, we see a car coming right here. We're gonna go ahead and output a little damage on it. Hopefully he'll come fight us in a movement fight over here. What you're gonna see me do here is do a skate off this roof. He's gonna scan. He's probably gonna be confident. I'm gonna scan. I'm gonna try to do a movement over this ridge right here. Yep. And then I'm gonna continue my momentum, and then I land off the roof. Break line of sight. Now I go for a jump shot over here. Okay, now right shoulder peek. He's gonna come down, and I go around, and now we just pull out the AR. We don't need to do anything fancy. Well, now we let him go for a moment. I don't think this guy knows I'm in his car. Okay, and now we know he's hurt. Gotta reload this, and now I just sit here, do very simple movement, just a, basic little like jump right there to avoid some shots. A little sprint jump to the side. Just don't stand still, but, pretty basic movement. I'm trying to output as much damage the entire time that I can, and hit my shots, focusing on hitting my shots rather than moving, because I have that nice health advantage, and I'm not trying to get too close to him. We're gonna come here with some momentum, slide through, and then we're gonna space out with an AR, because there's other enemies in the area, so we want to get some distance and some cover just to make sure these guys aren't real. They sound like they're fake, but you never know. Right shoulder peek off this tree in case another one comes over. I'm not going to get in a movement fight right here. So that's one thing about movement, is like you really got to decide when you're going to use movement, and you shouldn't be using movement very much if you got multiple enemies around. When I enter these fights, you're going to see that I'm almost always entering with some momentum and coming in as like a slide, and then just lining up a shot with a crosshair. It's one of the most important things if you are trying to get good with your movement, is you're going to be missing shots if you're not practicing good crosshair placement. Crosshair placement is everything when you are doing combat movement. You need to have your crosshair in a place that when your body moves, it's going to be falling over or moving over your enemy, and then all you have to do is pull the trigger. Definitely a skill that you Need to practice, you can do it in my Zero Build Mastery map code above. I have like, for instance, you can use the slide and shoot to practice that. Crosshair placement really helps with that. So when you're doing these movements, when you're using mobility to get over people or push people, generally you want to go over their head and then land somewhere behind them, and preferably in cover when you land, so that when they flip around, they're like already at a disadvantage. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing here. Over the head. And now we land to a slide and create space. Now notice he has a shotgun out, right? He has the wrong weapon out. He's confused, and it just makes the fight super easy. Hoping that he's going to heal so we can fight again. Medium range is really like the sweet spot for movement. Entering into a fight at short range, hitting them hard, and then getting to medium range so that you can maintain a health advantage. It's like the best way to do movement in Fortnite. So like you change that distance. What that does is when you change the distance quickly in a fight, it gets players just jumbled because they'll have the wrong gun out to fight you. They'll have their shotgun out when you are at close range, and then you move to medium range and they still have their shotgun out because they weren't really expecting you to move to long range. So in a fight like this, right, what I can do is just bait the move so that I'm playing this little jump shot and I'm just waiting for him to get out there, and all I have to do is jump. And notice I place my crosshair in such a way that it's down here, and then I jump up and I just shoot. It's down here, jump up, and I shoot, and then it comes over the body, and you just have to pull the trigger. That's what good crosshair placement looks like. Even with jump shots, right shoulder peaks, you want to line your crosshair up so that when you move, it's going to get onto your opponent. I'm pushing in over to Crime City, using these gauntlets to rotate. Notice that I'm jumping into slides, and I'm not burning much stamina. Look how I'm going into this fight with nearly full stamina by just entering jump slides. That's super important. Okay. Whew. This guy, the grappler, that's wonderful. That's amazing. Okay, we just got the movement of all movements. Okay, now we're gonna decide, we're just gonna go ahead and throw another bubble because we don't want to get shot right now. Okay, so what happened right there was I did a quick little right shoulder peek. I'll try to explain after I eliminate this player as well. Oh, this cape's out somehow? Oh, it still has uses. I can't get through this wall. Okay, I'm going up. I'm gonna wait for this guy to climb up, and then I'm just gonna burst him with this. Oh, he's taking right shoulder. Now we're out. Oh, he's up on top. So now we're just gonna use base boost to break his camera, and then look down. We jump out. That's how you counter that movement right there. When somebody breaks your camera like that, you want to counter it by jumping outwards and getting some space. So he got right over my head, which is a deadly spot for somebody to be, right? Like if you're directly over somebody's head, that's the best spot for you to be, the worst spot for your enemy for you to be, right? So the first thing I did was I climbed up here, right? I base boosted up here and I got some height, and then I just faked like I was just running away, kind of. I looked for the clamber. I looked for the footsteps to come over, and then as soon as he hit that clamber, I went for the shot right there. That landed me like 2 or 3 easy shots because this guy's stuck in an animation and I'm jumping over his head, so now he has to find me, which is incredibly difficult to do, right? So I gained a massive advantage, just a health advantage initially, just by breaking his camera right there and landing some shots with the auto. And then he used the same kind of trick against me, right? Where he broke my camera like this and got over my head. But I countered that by jumping out and sliding like this and getting some space. So when somebody uses movement on you, the best thing you can do is counter it with movement yourself. In most cases, if they're breaking your camera, you gotta like get some distance, some space so that you can see them and they're not going to break your camera. A grappler is actually excellent for rotating around the map though, especially if you know the grappler glitch like that, where you cancel the grappler by firing it and then swapping to a weapon immediately like that. I have a whole video on it if you'd like to learn that. But this guy's going to want to get my grappler now. I'm just going to go ahead and park my car. Okay, so here we are. This guy's on the run. He's probably gonna go gas station. We're gonna go down right here to break line of sight and just kind of be unpredictable. And then we're gonna grapple up and see if we can catch him off guard. Because if I drive across that bridge, he's just gonna run. I don't want this guy to run from me. Okay, we're in his car now. We might do some car fighting here where I take jump shots. We'll see. I'm gonna try to break his wheels. This guy's being a silly goose. Oh, wow. Nice driving. Okay, now I'm just gonna blow his car up. And then I'm gonna grapple onto him. And I'm gonna grapple onto a slide. I don't really mind the fact that I have to reload right now. I just want to enter this fight with full ammo. And then we're just gonna skate. This is called bee hopping, and as you can tell, it's faster than the car. I'm waiting for him to jump out of the car. I'm looking at the car's health right now. I'm gonna jump out now and get some space from it. Okay, now we enter slides and we just stay. Oh, we need to back up. Look how I'm jumping into slides to get out of the crow range. So you can use the slide jump, which is so important. It's like absolutely essential to learn how to just skate like that, right? I call it skating, where you jump into slides like this. You don't even have to be sprinting. As long as you have enough momentum, you can jump into slides like this, right? It is so incredibly useful. It's like just a universal movement tool that you got to learn, because you can get distance like that while still firing. You saw that guy was within crow range, so I turned back really quickly and I start slide jumping backwards, and I can shoot while I'm doing this. So that's a game changer. I'm not turning my back on him and letting him shoot me. I'm still dealing damage the whole time while I'm getting space, right? So you got to get out of that 15-meter range when people have those crows, because that's how far they hit from. They're really, really good if they have the mythic version. That version's not the greatest, but still, it can be dangerous, right? Still damage, so better off just spacing yourself. All right, here is what looks to be possibly a player here. It's hard to say. So just in general, always use cover before you use movement. If you have cover, use it. It's way safer to take shots like this than to get out here and start doing fancy stuff and risk taking a heavy shotgun shot to the face by a real player. So that's just a note. Always prioritize cover and positioning over movement. Movement can be really good and, very helpful in a lot of fights. You can just take movement fights, but what you'll find is if you take every single fight as a movement fight, kind of like how I'm doing right now, you risk a lot. You risk losing the game a lot more. So basically your win percentage is probably going to drop by like 50% the more, movement fights you implement into your game. If you're taking every single fight as a movement fight, you have much worse odds of winning the game, because you're probably going to take a lot of damage in your fights. You're probably going to get up in people's faces. They might hit you with a heavy shotgun shot. You might get third-partied, and it's just better to keep distance from enemies in general. So that's that. But for the sake of this video, we are doing all movement. So we're going to carry this sprite right here. And dashes are one of the best movements in the game, period, for combat. Like, probably even better than a grappler, because of the way you can break people's cameras and just instantly get to somewhere else and like basically teleport, disappear on the screen. Okay, I'm going to do some early damage, and then I'm going to jump out. This guy can't go anywhere with his car. So this is... If he does fight right now, I'm looking for him to jump out. There we go. Okay, now I'm just using this rock, and look at this dash, and this guy's just lost. Landing into slides, and now we just hit our shots. We just stand in our shots. When there's a player that's not looking at you, the main thing you want to do is just stand still and hit your shots, pretty much. Like, you don't need to do any fancy movement. If there's somebody not looking at you, don't throw off your own aim by moving around all crazy. It's a mistake I see a lot of people do, especially quote-unquote movement players who are quote-unquote movement gods. I'm going to go ahead and drop the grapple for example's sake, because I think it's a little too overpowered for our example here. Instead, I want to use some different types of movement items, so we're going to go ahead and grab this stuff. Okay, and the key with these car fights or car chases is just to break wheels. Just break one wheel is all it really takes to be able to catch them with like a surf cube or any type of movement other than gloves, because again, gloves are not rotational movement. We're going to go ahead and just climb this hill with this cube. So the objective right now is just break one wheel, kind of, or take this fight with dashes up on here, but I doubt he'll fight us. So now we're going to jump into a slide like this, and we're looking for damage. We're just trying to pull out some damage on this car to blow it up. We're going to go ahead and get in the air one more time. It also allows you to scout to see what's going on. Car close here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit some movement, just so that I'm not easy to hit if somebody does catch me here. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. feel like it's just a little better. Somebody just shot at me, and there's a car right here. This is our friend from earlier, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and set up to just... Okay, so that's really simple movement, just right and left. So I entered just simple slides right there just to avoid shots, but I was trying to deal damage as much as possible by going left, right, just kind of avoiding shots like this, but trying to keep damage output really good. Notice I'm not like jumping in the air, doing any kind of crazy movement. You see a lot of people take these fights where they're like jumping, sprint jumping in the air. And look how like much downtime there is when you're doing this sort of thing where you're not firing your weapon, you're not doing damage to your enemy, and that's just a bad thing. You never really want to do that. You always want to be outputting damage on your opponent as much as possible. So I call it weapon uptime or damage uptime. Think about being like a turret. You want to be shooting as many bullets as possible at your enemy while also being fairly hard to hit, but not like crazy hard to hit. Most people will miss a shot or two if you just hit them with some simple movement, sprint sliding around. And not leaving your feet is a really important thing too, because when you don't leave your feet, it also means that... Okay, we got him for 50. We're gonna hit him for another 50, and we're just keeping range. So right here, look, I'm backing up with that slide, and that allows me to keep that nice distance and not get in that shotgun range. So that slide mechanic, or the sliding, is so important for keeping distance. And you notice I hit him with 100 damage early, so I have a huge health advantage. Now all I want to do is create distance because I don't want him hitting me for 100 with a single shotgun shot. So you definitely want to create more distance once you land that initial damage. So if you found this video helpful, please leave a like on it. If I've taken your game to the next level, please consider using code Toby1Shinobi in your Fortnite item shop. I know it's incredibly easy to forget about it, but please, next time you're in the item shop, if you got that box in the bottom left empty, just put any creator's name in it. It really helps us out. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, hi, I'm Toby1Shinobi. My main goal is to take players' zero build gameplay to a whole nother level, turn them into a certified sweat lord. And the best next step for you is to hit that subscribe button and then go check out my must-watch playlist for Fortnite Zero Build, and I promise you will not regret it. All right, y'all, thanks so much for watching the video. Have yourself a wonderful day. Shinobi out.